Hey everybody, Manannan here. Welcome back to Crusader Kings 2, Conclave, which I haven't said before, because this is the new DLC and the new patch, which is quite impressive. I mean, apart from the fact that the game seems to run a lot better, just generally just a lot faster, things like the loading screens are just, like, super fast, and I would put that down to the fact I've installed the game on an SSD, but I'd already played it on the SSD, and it was the same as it normally is, until this patch came out. So I'm only guessing they have done some sort of optimization thing that I might have missed in the patch notes, to be fair. But anyway, this series will probably be quite short, but it's basically just to experiment with the new Conclave mechanics, such as the council, childhood education, and laws, which all seem quite good. I mean, on balance, there are some things with like the nomadic factions, which everything needs to go through the council. I know there's a little bit of a kick-up about that, and an even bigger kick-up about infamy and coalitions. Things, and Shuttered Retreats, which people don't seem to be overly fond of. They're from the first season, like EU4 and Victoria, I think. And they don't seem to have been well received. But either way, I have no real opinion of it so far, so we're going to play this. Now, I'm playing as the King of Mann, as I've changed my channel name to Manannan. So, and I've had a lot of people say, "Oh, is this a hint as to what you're doing next?" And I thought, no, it's not, but it could be. And then I started thinking, well, when Conclave comes out, I can do something then. So that's what I'm doing. So, this is the Charlemagne start, the 769. The High Chief of Mann, or Insmanor, is a Welsh duke who has the lovely coat of arms of my homeland. Now, what's quite cool about this start is, one, it's tribal, so you get the tribal advantages. You also, because it's a one-province duchy, you can make a very strong merchant republic. However, I'm not going to do that with this character, I don't think. And what I'm going to do instead is probably just go feudal. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. So, obviously the first thing that's changed with Conclave is the change to ambitions. They're no longer as boring as they used to be honest. Paragon of Virtue is unchanged. Exalted Among Men is unchanged, but become King of Pictland. It used to be that if you're pagan, you had unlimited subjugations of everyone within the kingdom you're trying to become. But if you weren't pagan, it had basically no use apart from like taking it as you're about to form the kingdom, so you actually get a load of prestige. With this now, if you're fabricating claims with the councillor, you can sort of accidentally acquire a claim on the kingdom itself. And there's also reduced costs for creating the kingdom if it doesn't exist. So Pictland already exists, so I'm not going to have any sort of discount on usurping that if I chose to do so. The other one is build a war chest. And this scales depending on your rank. So because I'm ruler of a duchy, I need 700 gold. No, 500 gold. And once I've done that, I get 10% extra tax, which it doesn't seem like much. But if you have a look at my yearly income, I mean, obviously I'm tribal, so it's a bit poor. But say I look at, if we have a look at the Byzantine Empire, for example. If we look at this guy, his annual income from tax is roughly, by my very rough calculations, about 300. That's an extra 30 gold every year. That's a significant increase, especially when you're at war, which obviously is usually the intention of building building a huge war chest. So we're going to pick an ambition, which I think I'm going to have as become exalted among men, because I intend to form a custom kingdom, so I need prestige. Or I don't need prestige, I get prestige for it. My character focus, these are all unchanged as far as I'm aware. What are my stats? I'm going to go with Martial, I think, because I'm going to be expanding, and I need that levy size. What's also new is this, the childhood education has changed. You no longer gain the stats and traits of your guardian. Basically, you decide what your child's going to study in, and they rarely get traits and stats from your guardian, but mainly it's what your child's character already is. It affects that. So this child is rowdy and willful. So if I go into this, each of these education focuses says what works best with them, and they don't seem to be red. Like normally they're when I looked at these last night, they were Unless these are different. Maybe these are different. Heritage, faith. Ah, no. I understand now. I'm looking at the wrong... the child I was looking at last night, which sounds terrible, was a teenager, which means that they have different focuses. These are literally from infants to, I think, 13, 12, something like that. So you've got different ones here. So far he's rowdy and willful. I'm going to try and make him... okay, he's already rowdy and willful, which give you martial and intrigue. So if I go pride, which is a nice little wreath of... What is that? Olive? No, look. What is the Roman diadem? Yeah. That's such a difficult name. I'm not going to try and pronounce that. Shooted by councillors and noblemen being groomed for rulership. Become haughty and brooding. We're going to go with that. Now, I don't really do anything else with him. He gains his own stats now, it seems. I'm his educator, so I do have an influence on events he gets. Much like the normal non-conclave part of it. Now, the other thing, but just obviously I'm taking this quite slow, because I'm just introducing myself mainly to all the things, but also not speeding past it, so if people haven't read the patch notes or haven't been keeping up with the developer diaries, you know sort of what's happening and why everything's different. So obviously the actual missions your councillors can go on are exactly the same. These are obviously just slightly different to feudal because I am tribal, so I've got build legends, settle tribe, organize a raid, stuff like that. The honorary, the minor titles thing has changed a little bit, which now looks a little bit better than what it used to be, which is this pop-up window. But the council is what's different. It used to be this, you'd pick up this, and this would just be your council, and you get a little button up there for minor titles. Now it matters who's on your council. You can't just pick some random up-jump peasant who's got amazing stewardship, because that will piss off your very powerful duke who thinks that he has a better right to a say in the realm than an up-jump peasant, which is more realistic. So you've got different types of councillors. You've got loyalists who will basically support you whatever you do, unless you're trying to fuck them over. Pragmatists generally seem to be most like the players, it seems to be. If there's an easy war to win, they'll go for it. If it's better for the realm, they'll go for it. Glory hounds this is quite an interesting one. They'll oppose attacking weak neighbours, but against bigger opponents, they'll go for it. So if I decided for some reason to attack Francia, they'd probably be on board with that. Even though it's suicide, they'd prefer I attack Francia than, say, Ulster, which is slightly weaker than me. What else is there? There's also Zealot, which is obviously, if there's a chance for a holy war, they want you to go for a holy war instead of a war against a fellow Catholic in this situation. And Malcontents will always basically betray you on the council. They'll get in the way, they'll prevent you from doing anything. And I don't have any at the moment because I've got no actual vassals, but if you have what's considered a powerful vassal, they expect to be on the council, and if they're not, they will agitate and form factions and be generally troublesome. I don't know whether, from what I can gather, if they're on the council and you keep them happy, they're not going to form factions, which is a nice way of handling that sort of thing. The other thing is laws. Basically, council... I'm tribal, of course, so I can't do that yet. So if I look at realm, I need to up my tribal organisation, so I'll do that. Now if you have a look at council, I now have the option... I'm currently stuck with... If I was to attack another country, I need a vote with the council, and I've empowered the council, which is a bit annoying. So, we'll just have a quick look. We'll up the centralisation, because I don't have any vassals, so why bother? Now, you'll notice that now it's my council that votes, not every single baron in the entire realm, which I can imagine is very useful for larger empires, which this is meant to sort of hinder a little bit, just because there's certain blobbing things that go on. A lot of this patch seems to be to make the mid to late game more challenging, which it honestly, once you know how to game the system, it isn't. When you make a few super dukes and make them, they've got so many vassals they can't actually revolt against you. That's not really how you meant to play the game. That's how I've done a Roman Empire playthrough before. I literally had Macedonia and Thrace, and everything else was owned by one guy who had so much on his plate he had no chance of causing any trouble. He had literally hundreds of thousands of soldiers at his command, but only when I raised them. He could raise none of them because he had no money. It was amazing. A little bit broken. So that is the general from what... Obviously, there's nothing stopping you doing that, but if you play it more, you know, normally, you'll have slightly more checks on your power. You can also increase the status of women, so you don't have to be Cathar, Basque, or Massalian to have female councillors and leaders and rulers, which is quite nice. Does it actually allow me to give people land? No. Oh, okay. The current situation I'm in, they can't be spy masters. But after I've got that, you can increase that. You also need tolerance, which makes sense. And there's nothing there saying that I can grant them land, but I don't know whether you can do that in fully cognatic thing. And this is, you can hear a new technology sound, which is a little bit irritating. I'm going to close out of that. Right. So, anyway, on with the game. So I need to send my councillors to fabricate a claim. I mean, what? Yes, I'm going to fabricate a claim on Ulster, I think, is probably the best bet. Actually, no, I'm going to fabricate a claim on up here. I want to get Innsgal. I want to get the Hebrides to form my kingdom. So after he's got a claim on that, I'm going to have you organise a raid. Or organise a raid, please. If you would. You can build a legend. You can study technology, apparently only in Constantinople and the surrounding area. And this is the worst bishop I think I've ever seen. But he can... There's no point building zeal. There's no heretics anywhere around, so we won't be able to do anything with that. You know what to proselytize. Improve religious relations with the Pope, I think. Best use of him right now. So, I mean, I could swear fealty to the King of Pictland. I mean, what is that? So there's some quite nice traits now. Stubborn, which is a mule, and it's the character is stubborn as a mule, which is a nice little, quite obvious thing, but nice to see anyway. I've also got the new Conclave content pack running, but I'm not sure what exactly happens. And I've got a small little army. Lovely. So we're going to combine them. There's no one I can attack yet, but I can raid. I can't raid with them. This is build glory, isn't it? Bugger. So I can't attack anyone, which is a bit annoying. But well, can I? Maybe I can make someone a tributary. I can make him a tributary. He has a lot more troops than me, so I'm not going to do that. But I could attack Ulster. He's got no pacts. That's another thing that's changed. Alliances are different. So he's got none of that. So I'm going to make him a tributary. Just to use these troops while I can. Combine them. I am leading the force. I don't have any other commanders, so this will just have to do. See my marshal? No. Where's my... You can stop doing that. Fire you. And then reappoint you. Stick you there. Lovely stuff. So we're going to go and attack this guy. We will have a crossing penalty. No, we won't because he'll get away. So he's head to Agilia, I think. Will I catch him? I've caught him. So we've completely crushed him because we have 3 flanks versus his 1. And this is the Shuttered Retreat. Now, when it happens to you, it tells you where they're going to end up. Obviously, they don't tell you when you're the one attacking them because then you'd know where to race them to. Or, so you've got a supporting army, you can have them wait for them there. Which, obviously, would sort of break the system. Which is it's meant to do. So it's just like, that army's run halfway across the continent. And there's an army waiting for them. And they've run straight into it. And now they're dead. So they have changed that slightly. And they've also increased the morale loss from losses, from casualties. Which is quite nice to see. Makes more sense. If all your comrades are falling around you in a hail of arrows, you're going to be a little bit wary. So I don't need to go and worry about that guy because he can't siege anything down. And I've lost my court chaplain, which is, you know, a terrible shame, considering how amazing he was. And now I'm stuck. He just decided not to be my court chaplain anymore, which is just not gonna. That won't do it at all. You can improve religious relations with the Pope again if you would, if you do your job. Right, so we are sieging this bishopric down. This should make this guy a lovely little tributary, and I think everywhere around here has a church, which is nice to see. Apart from the Isle of Man doesn't have a church. We don't want a church apparently. So we're gonna just take this down, use these troops well. We can get a little bit of income and some prestige. So once this is done, I can enforce demands. I gain 200 prestige and he becomes he's 70 years old, so he probably won't last much longer. So we need to send this army back. so we can get rid of them. And we use those troops for a single war. Now they're gone. I need to get married. I've just realised. So this will be a good way to show the non-aggression pact system, which you can see it's no longer a little blue flag. It's this instead, which basically means we're not going to attack each other, which is good. It's a good way of managing international relations without causing, you know, a massive, like, if I could get an alliance with Francia, that would be a little bit much just from marrying one of his daughters. It makes sort of sense, but that sort of marriage pact wouldn't be, generally speaking, enough to get someone involved in one of your wars. You'd have to build from that. I mean, just general non-aggression pacts was a good way to secure your borders and stuff. It wasn't necessarily to get them to join your wars. It was just a way of saying, okay, I want to go attack north. I don't want my east and south to attack me while I'm gone. Here, have my daughter, Elizabeth. She's young and ripe and will keep you happy, so please don't attack me. That's essentially how they work. It's not exact science, what I just described, but it's basically true. Now, in terms of obligations, these are the tax things now, which I've got to be aware of. They basically work the same way. You generally want burghers to have more tax, and you want feudal to have more levies. Church stays in the middle, tribal, who cares? So that's essentially the same thing, it just looks nicer. And you can also, if you look at inheritance, there's more space for claimants, for pretenders, which is nice. Because one thing I quite like, noble Christian high chieftain, fair enough. That's a nice little thing. Apparently there's dozens of these backgrounds and combinations, which is quite nice. But what I'd quite like to see is if there was a way, there might be a way in this, to be fair. Say I looked at this and I looked at claimants, or at least the line of succession. I'd like to be able to press that and see who's going to inherit, just so you know how far along. Because in some realms, several people are called, like, I don't know, I'm not going to say Elidir because probably not, but say William or Robert or something like that in a Frankish realm or a Norman realm. There's lots of them, and you're not entirely sure which one you just married your daughter to. So it would be nice to see if there was this portrait and you could click on it and show who it was. But that doesn't, I can't seem to find that. So we're going to go with gold, I think. It's more important for me at the moment. I've got a decent amount of prestige. So we've got Ulster as an ally, as a tributary, which I think is the exact same way. If we look at pacts, I've made him a tributary, and I've got an alliance, a non-aggression pact with this guy. So I can call this guy in, but I cannot call these guys in because they are just... I've got a non-aggression pact with my wife, which is good to know because... Oh, of course, because she is the Frankish princess that I've married. Which apparently gave me an alliance with a Prince Bishop who really shouldn't have had her as a daughter, but he has. So we're going to just let the game play on for now. I think, who else can I attack? He's fairly weak. They're all the same dynasty though, and they're not allied. Okay, they're not allied. That's interesting. I'm going to have you organise a raid, I think. Because I might be able to go and raid Galloway for a little bit of money. Because it's got... However, everything is, I think, protected by the fort. A bit annoying. Yeah, that's the castle wall motif on the end there. You won't be able to see it probably in the video, but it is there. So I won't be able to take much from him. I don't have any ships because I'm not Norse. So I can't really expand to raid anywhere else. So raid is probably not the best. So I'm going to fire this guy and replace him. And train troops there. Probably more ideal. So how's this going? Did he lose his war? He did lose his war. I am going to take advantage of that. I can buy a favour from him. Why? Okay, I'm not entirely sure how favours all work. I know vaguely what they do and what you can use them for, but other than that, I'm not too sure. So we're going to attack this guy. While he is weakened, we're going to call my tributary in because he doesn't have a choice. And literally, he's just got one holding now, doesn't he? Yes, just the one county. So we're going to go occupy him. Once my tributary gets involved, we'll wait there for them, I think. We'll go to... Where is this? Ebethon, also known as Argyle, when it's not Pictish. So now we've got overwhelming force. We're just going to wander in and take this guy down. Hopefully, I mean, it's mountainous, isn't it? It's hills. Okay, so we will have hills, and he'll have defensive terrain, and I'll have a crossing penalty. This may go poorly, but I have a... strong faith in it. And yes, that was good faith to have. And I have not stack wiped them because Shuttered Retreat. But we are sieging them down. So we'll just win this war. And then we'll end the episode. So, if anyone wasn't aware of the changes to Conclave, I hope I've explained them fairly well. I'm not 100% sure about all of it, but I mean, I'll play this for a little bit longer, I think. I'll try and get king level. I might try and become the king of the sea by, oh, new childhood education. So now I can change the thing because he's 12. So 12 is the cutoff. And then, depending on the traits your child's picked up while they were being basically raised, depends on how good these focuses are going to be for them. So, he is rowdy, brooding, and willful. Rowdy and willful children tend to do very well in martial, whereas they don't do very well for diplomacy, or... is it this one? No, not haughty. Rowdy. Yeah, they don't do well for intrigue or diplomacy, but they do all well. Brooding does all well for stewardship, but I'm going to go for martial. And then we're going to end the episode, I think. No, we'll see. We'll win this siege. Actually, no, we'll end the episode now because it's taken a little bit of time. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.